Divorced men of Reddit. What moment with your former wife made me think, yup, I'm asking this girl to divorce me? When a friend's wife said to me, you know your wife is sleeping with my husband, that's a pickup line if I ever knew one. I mean, we might as well. As long as I can wear the duck tie. Ain't that a kick in the head? When she staged a robbery of our house so she could pawn all of my for drug money. When my stepdaughter became a teenager, my ex ramped up the nutso. She had always been an impatient, angry screamer of a parent, but as my stepdaughter became a young woman, my ex just went crazy with envy or something. I know lots of moms have a hard time with teenage daughters, but their base level patience is so much better than my ex's was. Threats of cutting hair in middle of night while daughter slept, pulling hair, slapping face, ridiculing in front of her friends, swinging something that missed and put a hole in the wall. I was out with the kids. My wife was around less and less, had to be free to live her life, go out with her friends. More often than not she would call me to pick our daughter up from daycare, after promising to pick her up and have some girl time. Just tell her I'm working late or not feeling well. She always had something better to do and the kids were old enough to know better. I went to pick our daughter up one day. When they called her name she came running over until she saw it wasn't Mom. Again, slumped her shoulders and slowly walked over to ask what's her excuse this time. That was the breaking point. Told her to get out. Even helped pay her security deposit to get her out. This one hits close to home with me. My dad and Mom were never married, and I was 2 when they broke up. But Mom was supposed to be there for me. She would make all sorts of promises to come hang out with me and pick me up and do things. But 9 times out of 10 she wouldn't show. I remember getting excited if she showed up for one of my birthdays. How sad is that? She should have been there regardless. And she always had these dumb excuses as to why she couldn't come. Broke my heart. My mom has been dead for 3 years now. I'm 22, and all I can think about when I think of her is I hope I never damage a child the way she damaged me. Tell your daughter some internet stranger sends her empathetic love. I was working on a mother-daughter scrapbook as a Christmas present for her. Was going through her Google Photos account looking for pics of them together. Came across a selfie she took with some dude laying on her. Confirmed her second affair. Knew it was over the moment I saw it. That has freaked me up pretty good. Oof. I've read most of these answers and this one hits me especially hard. Sorry dude. Wait. Second? So you gave her a second chance and she still fricked around on you? What the frick? When she presented a picture of our 4-year-old daughter and me laying next to each other on the couch watching Blue's Clues to our marriage counselor as evidence of my inappropriate conduct around our kids. Thank God he saw right through that bullet immediately and told her to knock it off. I may have been standing behind your wife at the grocery checkout. Lady says to her friend, if John had wanted custody, I would have said he molested the kids. My jaw dropped at that. I would just go ahead and absolutely ruin someone's life because he wanted his kids. What a complete ant. I'm curious if the friend had a positive or negative reaction to this. I have a friend who went through this. There were so many lies leveled at him. At one stage even his computer was seized by police after she alleged he had child peeing on it. It was so demoralizing. The only way he could see his kids was through supervised visits. A couple of things were in his favor though. The staff where he had to go and see his kids could tell he was genuine. He never once reacted to his ex either, which showed his character. He'd completely lose his it when it was just me and him though, understandably. About 6 months in the police returned his computer and found nothing obviously. This was a major turning point for his case. His behavior throughout was spotless. He's actually a really gentle and caring guy. Meanwhile his ex was racking up DUI charges which also helped. That was around 4 years ago now. He has had sole custody ever since. Remarried to a nice girl who is their mom now. The ex just lost interest which is sad, but good that she's not interfering also. I used to love to do chores for her, because she loved being taken care of. When she stopped noticing, it started hurting. Then one day I made a bench for our entryway out of Barnwood. Took about 40 hours of work. She walked in the house after work that day and sat her purse on it and proceeded to start the fight where she told me that she was mad she got married to me. She stormed out of the house grabbing her purse. Never noticed the bench was there. I knew then, but I think she already knew. This post hit me. I feel so used in my relationship, but just cannot leave because of my 3-year-old son. My parents divorced when I was 10. I knew it was coming for as long as I was aware what divorce was. My parents were amicable enough during and after the divorce, and my sibling and I turned out all right. In plenty of scenarios where people stay together for the kids, it really doesn't help the kids much. Just my 2 cents. Finding her on Christmas Eve, still texting a coworker whom she claimed she was no longer in contact with, having been busted texting him previously. Also, I cleared out of there like a blackjack dealer. Ho ho ho. I found out she cheated on me, and upon me confronting her to discuss it, she manipulated me into thinking she was suicidal. Then she admitted the manipulation. Done. She may have once been a nice person. That's all gone now. My neighbor's wife screaming putana downstairs after she caught my bride and her husband freaking in front of the fireplace. This happened to one of my parents' friends. Both couples did a swap and are now happily married. My dad cheated on my mom when I was 12. A couple weeks after she kicked him out, my mom started dating my dad's girlfriend's husband. I hated all of them. That final line was quite a turn. I'd look for that racing clip where the 3 cars block everything, but I'm on my phone. Unorthodox solution. Glad it worked out. When she said, "You didn't pray hard enough and that's why our son has cancer. That's why I'm sleeping with my prayer partner," that woman takes the cake for a queen of rationalizations. This is the first one that made me look up and mouth, "What the frick?" Our daughter at 3 years old told us to stop yelling. I was on deployment and she yelled at me for interrupting her family's celebration when I called on Christmas. Jesus. What? I'm sorry. This angers me more than anything. I'd give anything for my husband to have been able to call this past Christmas, instead of doing duty. Frick. That? When I found evidence of the last affair, as soon as I heard it, I knew that was the end, and there would never be anything else there. Was it like a sudden yup, I want a divorce, or did you take your time? Yup. Time to start finding a place to go. I found out on a Sunday. First thing Monday I was scouring the internet for a place to rent. I kept her in the dark for the next month, until everything was set. When she got home from work, I handed her my ring, and told her I wanted a divorce, and I left. When we went on a family vacation and I hoped she'd sleep the entire time so I could have fun with our son, my sister said something similar about her ex. He had to go out of town for a business trip and she found that being a single parent was less work than having him be around. Then he fricked one of her friends, and her first thought was finally an excuse to kick him out. Feels like vacations are a good litmus test to see if you're both still in love. There's a sports journalist I follow who takes his wife on holiday every year to do a sort of intervention to reassess their relationship and family goals. When I went on my final vacation with my family rents plus brother, everyone just fought with each other, and it made me realize how dysfunctional we were and that it was just better for me to move out ASAP. Slightly relevant. My last relationship was getting a bit rocky. I was fairly sure we would be happier apart. So we took a 2-week vacation overseas. I was worried it wouldn't go too well, but we had a really great time. The whole time. Not one disagreement. Great ex. Got home. Split up amicably about a week later. It still worked out in the end, because we both had a good holiday, and now we're both happier. We met and spent the first 7 years of our married life on the West Coast, then moved east. 5 years later, I took a job back on the West Coast, but it was the middle of the school year, so I went out ahead and lived on my own until everyone could join me. Things hadn't been very good between us for a while, but I hadn't articulated it to her, or even myself, beyond vague feelings of dissatisfaction. One weekend, out there on my own, I decided to take a day and drive to one of my favorite towns, a town in which I had lived long before I knew her, a town we had visited often while married. It was late afternoon, was about to head back to my hotel when I realized that I could visit a particular beach that had special meaning to me from my earlier life there. I stopped at a convenience store, grabbed a grolsch like I used to drink on that beach, and drove out there. Hiked out to a specific spot I remembered, sat down, popped the beer, and looked out over the ocean. And it hit me that I hadn't done that in over 20 years. Whenever we'd visit the area, I'd suggest stopping at the beach, but she wasn't interested and would always veto the idea. I'm sure reading this it seems like the tiniest thing, but it was a catalyst for me realizing just how completely dissatisfied I was with our relationship. I think from the time I sat down, I knew it was over within maybe 10 minutes. Just sitting there, sipping my beer, looking at the ocean. I've been in this thread for almost an hour, and this answer is the most captivating thing I've read. Preface. We were doing a trial separation. She moved into the spare bedroom of our apartment. Divorce had been thrown around, but we still spent time together and slept together. I wasn't seriously considering divorce, but rather counseling, etc. Up until the day I came home from work at the same time I came home every day, and she was in her room being fricked by some random guy she met on Tinder. She had not told him she was married. I kicked him out of the apartment and made it clear to her I would be moving out as soon as possible. When I found the letter between her and my friend about their affair and how she couldn't wait to be away from me so they could be together. Yep, I knew then that it was time to get the divorce. I'm sorry, buddy. Thanks. No problem now. Life is better. She required a much more varied selection of dongs than I was able to provide, so she went out and acquired them herself while I was stationed overseas in the Air Force. When she physically attacked me in front of our then 11-year-old son, I'd been pondering the idea for a while. That was the clincher. 15 years in, and I find texts on her phone. Completely blindsided. No clue she had it in her to cheat. Told me it was just texting. Begged for forgiveness. I caved. A month later, checked the phone bill to find that it never stopped. Confronted her again. Cue more begging and more denial on my part that she would let the life we had built go down in flames. This went on for a few months. So many promises. One night, I caught her on the phone when she thought I had left. Suddenly it's not just texts. Sometimes it was phone calls too. Just a friend she could talk to that she let things go too far with. Promised to break all contact. Swore it was never physical. Then I found emails. She detailed things that made me sick to read. But also included descriptions of his house. She broke finally, but swore it was all just in the line of duty. That's how she met. You see? Visiting nurse service. And this guy was a client. Promised she was done. Loved me. You see? No chance she was going to let 15 years go like that. I wasn't buying it anymore though. She announced she was going out one night with a work friend. Promised they were only going to the bar. Then she'd be home. Maybe late, but not too late. She had taken over her own phone account by then, but wasn't bright enough to understand that Google Attitude was still showing me where she was, and I wasn't about to show my hand. She kissed me goodbye and beelined right for his house, and was there until the wee hours of the morning. Once I knew where she had headed, I called her dad and my best friend to keep me from doing anything dumb. I will love them both forever for keeping me calm while my world went freaking insane all around me. My father-in-law offered to stay with the kids and wait for her to get home. Around 3 a.m., while couch surfing my buddy's place, she sent me a nasty text asking where the frick I thought I was. I texted her a screenshot of her little GPS dot at her boyfriend's and let her know I'd be sending her some paperwork soon. Props to the father-in-law for being willing to help out even when it's his daughter doing all that. It was rough. He very much became a surrogate dad while we were together. A best friend. Really. At times, I felt worse for him and what he was going through, being in the middle, than I did for me. Damn. Have you kept in touch with him at all? Absolutely. See him at least once per week. Still. My mother-in-law? Just about every day. When she informed me she was cheating on me and leaving me for that guy. That guy was engaged. Not to her. Oddly enough, he did not break off his engagement. Serves her right. Kinda hoping karma caught up to that guy as well. He was engaged and cheating on his fiancée with a married woman. Fingers crossed. When the cops showed up and arrested me while I was washing dishes, found out after being taken to the station that she had claimed that I had been beating on her and my 5-year-old son, was acquitted in court a month or so later. The situation was so messed up that the cops actually testified on my behalf. When my ex-girlfriend dialed 911 to report a false DV claim, I knew enough to be gone when cops arrived. Grabbed car keys and cash and spent night at motel. Otherwise I would have been arrested. She apologized to me, but that was not everything between us died. I soon moved out. Similar thing happened to me. We were fighting. She called the cops. I packed a small suitcase and went downstairs to wait for them to show up. It was cold outside and she was out there without a coat yelling at me. They showed up, patted me down, handcuffed me, and put me in the back of the cruiser. I'm sitting there, looking out the window at her talking to one of them. I could only imagine what she was saying. Then I muttered, "What happened to my life?" The driver chuckled. The other cop talking to my ex came over and let me out, uncuffed me, and said if I'm a good boy they won't have to come back and arrest me. "Yes, sir, officer, sir, and thank you." They left. My ex turned to me and said, "You know why I did that? To teach you a lesson. Lesson, get the frick out of this relationship." We were already not speaking. It was Thanksgiving. I knew she wasn't going to bother, but I made a turkey and whatever goes with turkey for my then 8-year-old daughter. I had the turkey out on the counter to rest after roasting. My beloved bride walked in, calmly threw the turkey in the kitchen trash can, and walked out. I had to take my kid to frickin' Golden Corral for Thanksgiving. That was it. I was done. Fricking hell. That's cold. She took Thanksgiving away from you and her own kid. If you can be objective. Why was she so angry with you, dude? Frick her. I wish there was a Carfax for 80 people so no one else gets stuck with her. Wow. So this happens often, huh? My best friend says before her parents divorced she can remember the last Thanksgiving where her mom was cooking all day and then her dad came in, and out of nowhere, no words exchanged, started throwing all the food at the wall, broke all the dishes and ruined the meal, then just walked out like nothing happened. He stole dinner from his kids to prove a point to his wife. And I've been around her dad a million times. He's a super cool guy and she loves her dad very much. He has spoiled her way more than the average father does. She still has never paid a car note or cell phone bill. I guess a miserable marriage really makes people do some freaking crazy acid. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed the video, please smash the like button and leave a comment which story you liked the most. Subscribe and hit the bell notification for updates on our latest videos. And don't forget to check the links in the description box for more awesome content.